What if I told you that everything you have ever believed about reality is a story your mind invented? Not a metaphor, not a self-help cliche, a literal neurological fact. Right now, this second, your brain is taking raw electrical signals, threading them through billions of neural connections, and constructing what you call reality. The colors you see, the voice you hear, the feelings in your chest. None of it is the world as it actually is. It is your mind's best guess at what the world might be. And here is the terrifying part, and the beautiful part. You can change that construction completely, deliberately, permanently. So the real question is not, what is your life? The real question is, what is your mind building? And have you ever stopped to look at the blueprint? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mind-bending books I have ever encountered. Your Mind, Your Universe by Brandon M. Provakic. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your own thoughts the same way again. Welcome. Let's begin. Before we go deep, let me give you the map for today. In the next few minutes, we are going to cover 7 transformational pillars from Prochak's work. Pillar 1, the architecture of perception. How your mind builds the universe you live in, second by second. Pillar 2, the observer effect in daily life. How the simple act of paying attention changes what actually happens to you. Pillar 3, the belief operating system. The hidden programs running beneath your conscious awareness and how to rewrite them. Pillar 4, emotional alchemy. Why your emotions are not obstacles to clarity. They are data, fuel, and compass all at once. Pillar 5, quantum thinking. Prochak's fascinating bridge between quantum physics and personal decision-making. Pillar 6, the universe as mirror. The idea that your external world is a reflection of your internal state, and the science that partially supports this. And Pillar 7, designing your reality. The practical framework Prochak gives you to consciously architect your experience of life. Each of these ideas builds on the last, so even if one section surprises you, stay with it. The full picture is extraordinary. Pillar 1, the architecture of perception. Prochak opens the book with a question that stopped me cold. If 2 people stand in the same room, are they in the same universe? At first you think, of course they are. Same walls, same light, same air. But Prochak dismantles this beautifully. Your visual cortex processes roughly 10 million bits of information per second. But your conscious mind can only handle about 40 to 50 bits per second. So your brain is making thousands of editorial decisions every single second about what to let you see, hear, feel, and notice. Those editorial decisions are based on your past experiences, your beliefs, your fears, your desires. 2 people can stand in the same room and be living in entirely different universes because their minds are selecting, filtering, and constructing different realities from the same raw data. Think about the last time you bought a car, or even seriously considered buying one. Suddenly, you started seeing that exact car everywhere on the road. Did more of that car suddenly appear? No. Your reticular activating system, the brain's attention filter, was now tuned to notice it. The cars were always there. Your mind simply wasn't letting them through. Prochak calls this selective universe construction. You are not discovering the world. You are curating it. And here is the implication that changes everything. If you are curating your universe based on old filters, old fears, old failures, old definitions of what is possible, then you are not living in the present. You are living in a projection of your past. The first step to changing your life, according to Prochack, is not taking action. It's changing what your mind is allowed to see. Read that again if you need to. Let it land. Your filters are not facts. They are choices. And choices can be changed.
Pillar 2. The observer effect in daily life. In quantum physics, the observer effect refers to the fact that observing a particle changes its behavior. Electrons, for example, behave differently when they are being measured than when they are not. The act of observation collapses a wave of probability into a single definite outcome. Prochack takes this principle and applies it carefully, thoughtfully, to human consciousness. His argument? The quality of your attention determines the quality of your outcomes. Not because of mystical forces, because attention is a cognitive resource, and where you direct it shapes what your brain processes, what patterns it detects, what possibilities it registers, and ultimately, what actions it takes. When you pay shallow, distracted attention to your relationships, you miss the microsignals. The slight hesitation in someone's voice, the warmth they were offering that you scrolled past, the moment of vulnerability they extended that you didn't catch. When you pay shallow attention to your work, you operate on autopilot, reproducing yesterday's solutions for today's problems. But when you pay deep, intentional, curious attention, you observe more. You observe differently. And in doing so, you change what is possible. Prochack tells a story about two doctors who walk into the same patient's room. Both have the same training, the same Pillar 3. The belief operating system. If perception is the hardware of your inner universe, beliefs are the operating system. Prochack devotes a significant portion of the book to what he calls your belief OS, the collection of assumptions, rules, and narratives that were installed in you, mostly before the age of 7, and that have been running in the background ever since. Think about that. The foundational beliefs shaping your adult decisions about money, love, safety, worthiness, what you deserve, what is possible, were largely formed by a child who had no ability to evaluate whether those beliefs were true. A child who watched parents fight about money learns money causes pain. A child who was praised only for achievement learns my value is conditional. A child who was told they were too sensitive learns my emotions are a burden. These are not conscious choices. They are programs. And programs, Prochack says, can be rewritten. He describes a pattern he calls the invisible ceiling. A person works hard, makes progress, gets close to a breakthrough, and then somehow self-sabotages, misses the meeting, picks the fight, turns down the opportunity, finds a reason why now is not the right time. From the outside, it looks like bad luck or poor judgment. From the inside, it feels completely inexplicable. But the belief OS explains it perfectly. If deep down you carry a belief that says, people like me don't succeed at this level, then your unconscious mind will work against your conscious goals. Not out of malice, out of coherence. It's maintaining internal consistency with its deepest programming. The solution Prochack offers is not affirmations. He is skeptical, strongly skeptical, of surface-level positive thinking. You cannot paste new paint over a rotten wall and call it renovation. What he recommends instead is what he calls belief archaeology, going beneath the surface, finding the original source.
Pillar 4. Emotional alchemy.
Most personal development content treats emotions as something to manage, suppress, or overcome. Prochack takes the opposite view entirely. He argues that emotions are the language of your deepest intelligence, the feedback system through which your inner world communicates with your conscious mind. Fear is not your enemy. It is information. Something important is at stake. Pay attention. Anger is not a flaw. It is information. A boundary has been crossed. Something needs to change. Grief is not weakness. It is information. Something deeply mattered to you, and your soul is honoring that. The problem is not the emotion. The problem is that most people either suppress the message entirely or get so consumed by the messenger that they never stop to read what it says. Prochack calls the skill of translating emotional signals into actionable intelligence emotional alchemy, the transformation of raw feeling into wisdom. He walks through a case, someone chronically anxious about their career, always worried about being fired, never feeling secure, constantly seeking validation from managers. On the surface, the emotion was anxiety. The message seemed to be, your job is in danger. But when they practiced Prochack's alchemy process, sitting with the emotion instead of fleeing it, asking it what it was really about, the deeper message emerged. I don't believe I have inherent value. I only feel safe when I am being approved of. That is a completely different problem and a completely different solution. Career coaching would not fix it. Better performance reviews would not fix it. Only addressing the core belief about self-worth could shift the chronic anxiety. Prochack gives a practice he calls the emotion interview. When a strong feeling arises, instead of reacting or suppressing, you sit with it and ask it 3 questions. Question 1. What are you trying to protect? Question 2. What do you most need right now? Question 3. What would you have me understand? It sounds simple. It is profoundly uncomfortable. And it works because it shifts you from victim of your emotions to student of them. And that shift changes everything.
Pillar 5. Quantum Thinking. Now we reach the 2 sections of the book that are most philosophically ambitious, and most likely to either fascinate you or make you raise an eyebrow. I want to be honest about both reactions, because I think both are valid. Prochack's 5th pillar is what he calls quantum thinking. Drawing on concepts from quantum mechanics, superposition, the collapse of probability, he argues that before you make a decision, you exist in a state of multiple simultaneous possibilities, like a quantum particle holding several states at once. The moment you make a decision, the moment you observe and commit, you collapse those possibilities into a single reality. His point is not a physics argument. It is a psychological one. Most people live as though their future is already determined. They think in fixed tracks. They default to binary choices, this or that, yes or no, safe or risky. Quantum thinking is a mental practice of holding multiple possibilities open, genuinely, imaginatively open, before collapsing into a choice. It is the difference between asking which of these 2 options is right, which assumes only 2 doors exist, and asking what possibilities have I not yet imagined, which opens the field entirely.
Prochack describes an entrepreneur facing a failing business who was locked into binary thinking. Shut it down or keep grinding. He coached them through a quantum thinking exercise, genuinely holding open 10 different possibilities at once, including ones that felt absurd. Pivot completely. Bring in a partner. Turn it into a non-profit. License the idea. Merge with a competitor.
Pause for 90 days and teach what you know. The answer that saved the business was one they had never considered until they stopped forcing a binary choice. Quantum thinking is permission to stay in the uncertainty long enough to find the options that premature certainty would have eliminated.
Pillar 6. The universe as mirror. The sixth pillar, the universe as mirror, is where Prokak is most philosophical. His thesis, your external experience of life tends to mirror your internal state. Not through mystical attraction, through the very real mechanisms of attention, behavior, and self-fulfilling prophecy. When you carry resentment, you literally see more things to resent because your reticular activating system is tuned to confirm it. When you carry confidence, you take the actions that produce confident outcomes. When you carry scarcity thinking, you make the decisions that preserve scarcity. The universe is not magically rearranging itself for you, but you are rearranging your perception and behavior to match your inner world, constantly, automatically, invisibly. Change the inner world, the beliefs, the emotional patterns, the quality of attention, and the outer world you experience genuinely shifts. Not because the universe changed, because you did.
This is not magical thinking. It is one of the most well-documented patterns in psychology. What we believe about ourselves, we tend to prove. What we expect from the world, we tend to find. What we focus on, we tend to move toward. The universe is a mirror, and it reflects back with perfect accuracy exactly what you are bringing to it.
Pillar 7. Designing your reality. Everything we have covered, perception, attention, beliefs, emotions, quantum thinking, the mirror principle, Prokak synthesizes in the final section into what he calls the reality design framework. It has 4 stages. Stage 1. Audit. You cannot redesign what you cannot see. The first stage is spending 1 week doing nothing but observing, without judgment, the patterns of your mind. What do you default to thinking about? What do you avoid feeling? What stories do you repeat? What do you never let yourself imagine? Most people have never done this. They have lived inside their mind their entire life without ever mapping its architecture. Prokak says the audit alone, done honestly, is transformative.
Stage 2. Excavate. This is the belief archaeology work. You identify the root beliefs beneath your patterns, not the surface thoughts, the deep assumptions. I am not enough. Life is a struggle. I have to earn love. You trace them to their origin. You evaluate them as an adult. You decide, consciously and deliberately, which ones you are choosing to carry forward and which you are releasing. Stage 3. Architect. With old programs examined and updated, you now design the inner world you want to inhabit. Not vague wishes. Prokak is very specific about this. Define with clarity the beliefs you want running your operating system, the emotional patterns you want as defaults, the quality of attention you want to be known for. This is not visualization in the popular sense. It is intentional cognitive reprogramming done with full awareness. Stage 4. Practice. The new architecture needs to be lived. Practice daily. Return to when the old programs reassert themselves. And they will, because that is how neural pathways work. The old grooves are deep. The new ones take time to carve. Prokak is clear. This is not a one-time transformation. It is an ongoing practice of being a conscious participant in the construction of your inner universe, rather than an unconscious passenger in whatever it builds by default.
He closes the book with a line I want to leave with you. You have always been the architect. The only question is whether you've been designing consciously or letting the blueprint write itself. So, what do you take away from Your Mind, Your Universe by Brandon M. Prokak? Not a list of hacks, not a morning routine, something much more fundamental. You take away the understanding that the universe you live in, the one that feels so fixed, so given, so outside your control, is in large part a construction of your own mind. Your perceptions are curated. Your beliefs are programs. Your emotions are messages. Your attention is a force. And your reality, the texture, the tone, the possibilities of your daily experience, is something you are continuously authoring. Most of us author it by default. Prokak is inviting you to author it by design. If this video gave you something, a shift in perspective, a question worth sitting with, a concept that rattled something loose, I am asking you to do two things. First, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. The person who feels stuck, the person who can't see a way forward.